Turning our attention now to some of the latest headlines from the Middle East. Looks like we are taking a look at from one of our many cameras around the world and just the destruction that's being left over there. This is over a hospital in Kabul, Afghanistan. It's where officials say at least 400 people were killed in a Pakistani airstrike. 400 people at this hospital. Rescue crews, we're told, had to dig the bodies out from that rubble. Meanwhile, Pakistani officials say that they were actually targeting military facilities, and they've dismissed Afghanistan's claims as propaganda. But the death and destruction certainly cannot be missed there in Afghanistan and several other areas as well. Meanwhile, on to the latest with the conflict with Iran. An Iranian top security leader has reportedly been killed. Ali Larijani, Iran's secretary of the Supreme National Security Council, who we're talking about, apparently killed in an Israeli military strike. It's according to the Israeli defense minister. A report from Israeli media says that Larijani and his son were attacked in a hideout apartment. Was last seen Friday in Tehran during a rally. He's a former nuclear negotiator for Iran, closely allied to the late Ayatollah, who was killed on the first day of the Iran war. Iran's not officially confirmed the death. Also reported killed in this was Gholam Reza Soleimani, the commander of the paramilitary who served with the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. And now to Australia. This is where two Iranian soccer players have been granted asylum in Australia, and they're marking their first public appearance since the decision to stay in Australia. We're talking about Fatima Pasandidi and Afti Ramazan Istay. They were seen training with the pro club in Brisbane. They were smiling. They were posing with teammates. They were thanking their team for their support. The club says it's providing a safe, welcoming environment as the women begin their new chapter there in Australia. This is coming after a dramatic turn in the Women's Asia Cup when Australia offered humanitarian visas to Iran's team following concerns about their safety back home, and for good reason. 7 players initially accepted the asylum, but most later returned to join the team. And now as their teammates head back to Iran, these 2 players, they remain in Australia. They're starting over, and they have the support of the team there in Australia as they make that big decision to claim asylum and to stay there in Australia.